Okay. Now we are coming back. مين اللي كان هيرن بيقول؟ أنا نفسي نعمل بريك كده في النص خلينا نكمل. طيب كده خلينا دلوقتي عشان الوقت بس خليكم جاهزين. Okay, we'll come back to the next lecture. التايتل بتاعها ايه الليكشر دي؟
Does that exist? Number part 2.
Does that exist? Part 2.
يلا على طول عشان ما نضيعش وقت. Yes, okay, when you start. جورج يلا وي ار لايف، احنا لايف دلوقتي حبيبي. بدل ما نقعد ما نعملش حاجة.
All right, welcome back. It's good to see you again, and I hope that we've had a good, vibrant discussion this morning. Before I begin with the second part, I want to ask you very briefly, so that we can move on and keep going. Raise your hand and tell me, what have we learned in the first hour of our discussion? Not what have we learned, that's too general. What resonated with you personally from our discussion previously? Raise your hand and tell me. Yes, Casper. Yes.
Living with Christ.
Living with Christ. Living with Christ. Pretty general.
Yes.
Very good. Living with Christ. I love that. If nothing else you learned this weekend and you go home with that, you're golden. Living with Christ. I love it. What else? Yes, sir.
That atheists are living in blind faith, and that theists have faith with reason.
Beautiful. Daniel, how can I forget? Yes, that as we will see, Daniel, keep that thought because we will go over this in a minute. That atheists have blind faith because they say eventually we'll find out the answer. Eventually we'll find out the answer, and we do have the answer. Excellent. What else? It's beautiful. Yes, sir.
It's healthy to question.
It's healthy to, I like it. It's healthy to question. It's healthy to question. You know why? Just like when you're hungry, you want to go and find food to nourish your body. Your mind gets hungry. How can it be nourished? By answers. How will you get answers if you don't have questions? So when you question, you're searching for nourishment to your mind. Excellent. What else? Yes. Holly.
That all the characteristics of the Creator lead to Jesus Christ.
Excellent. All the characteristics of a Creator, this is beautiful, leads to Jesus. Can you tell me some of them?
Infinite, eternal, and powerful.
Excellent. And infinite, eternal, and powerful. Very good. A couple more? This is just a quick review. All right, anybody? What is our purpose in life?
Following God. To know God.
Just to know Him?
And share.
And make Him known. And share Him. Very good.
Live with Him.
Live it. Exactly. Know Him. Live your faith and your truth. And then share that truth. Exactly. All right. Let's move on. Remember what I asked you? That's right here. Remember what I asked you this question? The question of the heart. Which one would you rather be? I think we all know the answer to this question. I want to share with you a quote by a professor and an author whom I love very much. His name is Peter Kraft. He's a professor of philosophy at Boston College in the US. Here's what he said. Someone once said that if you sent 1 million monkeys and 1 million typewriters, for a million years, one of them would eventually type all of Hamlet by chance. Actually, some atheists did say that. But when we find the text of Hamlet, we do not wonder whether it came from chance. Why then does the atheist use this incredibly improbable explanation for the universe? Clearly, because it's his only chance of remaining an atheist. At this point, we need a psychological explanation of the atheist rather than a logical explanation of the universe. We have the logical explanation of the universe, but the atheist doesn't like it. It's called God. I think it's beautifully said. Beautifully said. So there's what? We need a psychological explanation of the atheist rather than a logical explanation of the universe. I want to share with you Pascal's wager. Anybody heard of Pascal's wager?
Yeah, it's okay.
How many?
Yeah.
3, 4, 5? Okay, so many of you haven't heard of it. So let me summarize Pascal's wager for you. This is a 300-page book. A book he has written called Pensée, means thoughts. Okay? And I'm going to summarize those 300 pages in one slide. This is his wager. Now let me give you some context. Pascal, who's a French scientist, he argued the existence of God in terms of a wager. You know what wager is? When you make a bet. بالعربي رهان. Okay? He based his wager on the fact that a normal, sane person, when they're given two possible choices, they will bet and choose the one that has the highest chance of profit or of reward. Just like when you invest in the stock market, for example, you put your money on the option that has the potential to give you the highest reward. That was his wager. Here's the slide that I summarized for you. So, in this slide, there are two options and two choices. What are the options? God exists. God doesn't exist. What are the two choices? I believe in God or I don't believe in God. That's it. This is in philosophy called the law of excluded middle. In other words, he either exists or doesn't exist. I either believe in him or I don't believe in him. So Pascal looked at his life and looked at these choices and said, which one of these boxes will give me the highest possible reward? This is all logic. Sorry. So let's look at each one of them. Let's see, I believe in God, and God doesn't exist. Like all of us believe in God, and at the end of the day, we die and we realize there is no God. What's the result? Finite loss. What is that finite loss? I had to go to church, I had to fast, I had to do metanias, I had to do all Bible studies and all of these things. I wasted my time. I have finite loss in this world, according to Pascal. And let's say another option. I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. And God doesn't exist at the end. What is the result? Finite gain. You know what finite means? Limited. Finite gain. I lived my life however I want. I went out and I partied and I did this and that and I enjoyed my life. But at the end, there's no God, so there's no afterlife. I enjoyed my 70, 80, 90 years here on earth because it's finite. Let's look at a third option. I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. But God does exist. What's the result? Finite gain plus infinite loss. What is the finite gain? I enjoyed my life here because I don't believe in God. But after I died, God does indeed exist. I will have infinite loss. What is that infinite loss? I'm not going to live with him in eternity, I will lose out on eternity with God. Let's look at the fourth box. I do believe in God, and God does exist. What is the result? Infinite gain plus finite loss. What is the finite loss? I gotta go to church and this and that and fast and do all of these things Christians do, or believers in God do. But I will have what? Infinite gain. I will live with this God for eternity if I really believe in Him on earth. Let me just finish, Abraham. Hold your questions to the end. Everybody hold your questions to the end. So that we can keep the thought going. All right, back to this. I believe in God, and God does exist. I will have infinite gain plus finite loss. That finite loss is, as I said, going to church and all that. Infinite gain is living with God in eternity. So Pascal looked at this wager and said, which one of these will give me the highest, rhetorical question, which one of these will give me the highest possible reward? Obviously, the one that will give me infinite gain. I can put up with the loss so I can get the infinite gain. So Pascal said, I am going to bet my life on this box. So I will live my life. I will believe in God. And I will live as if God does indeed exist, because this will give me infinite gain. And here is what he found out after he chose this box. A great mystery was unveiled to him. What is it? What he thought was finite loss turned out to be gain as well. You see? In other words, he gained both heaven and earth when he bet his life on the existence of God. Now, this is not an argument to prove that God exists. I want to make sure you understand that. This is an argument to make you cautious of atheism. I will summarize it for you. I would rather live my life, this is not for us Christians, but this is for someone else who doesn't believe in God. I would rather live my life as if there is a God and die to find out there isn't a God, than to live my life as if there isn't a God and die to find out there is. Let me repeat that again. I would rather live my life as if there is a God and die to find out there isn't, than to live my life as if there isn't a God and die to find out there is. So this is Pascal's wager. He said pure logic will tell you you would lose more if you're an atheist than if you're a believer. Then why do you remain an atheist? That was Farah's question. We'll talk about it in a second. So that is Pascal's wager. As a matter of fact, the Lord Jesus Christ said something so beautiful. Everything he said, of course, so true and beautiful. In Matthew chapter 5, he said, seek first the kingdom of heaven. Everything else will be added to you. C.S. Lewis, and I'm sure you've heard of C.S. Lewis, a famous Christian author. He said something also very beautiful. He said, aim, yani keep focusing on. Aim for heaven, you will get earth thrown in. Aim for earth, you'll get neither. Remember that. If you aim for heaven, you'll get earth. You know earth thrown in, yani فوق البيعة, the cherry on top. But if you aim for earth, you'll get neither heaven nor earth. So if you are wise, aim carefully. That's the message. All right. I want to share with you something else about the existence of God. It's called the duality of the world. What does that mean? I will explain. It seems that the world we live in is a bipolar world. It's a schizophrenic world. Really, it's a world of schizophrenia. And I'll prove it to you. I look at this picture and I see, oh, how wonderful this beautiful sunset is. What do you feel when you see the picture like this, or a scene like this in nature? Peace, harmony, joy, tranquility. Can you get enough of this? I can't get enough of this. All right. The world gives us this, but what do you? Yes, sir.
Just the lights.
Oh, the lights. Sorry. Thank you, John. You can't see the picture very well. You'll see it better now. Better?
Okay.
But promise, don't sleep. Promise. Okay. All right. I'll try to keep you awake. But that same world that gives me this picture also gives me this image. What do you feel? What are your emotions within you when you see something like that? Destruction, earthquakes, and death, and all of that. Bardo, peace and joy? Of course not. Misery, sadness, unrest, fear, and all of the above. It's the same world. See what I'm telling you? It's bipolar. It's schizophrenic. We have moments of joy and laughter, followed by moments of tears and cries in the same world. It seems that the world gives you with one hand and takes with the other hand. But that's the world we live in, my friends. Now, a question for you. Why can't we reconcile with this world, and all of us want this world instead? Why? Let me give you an analogy of this fish. Imagine you see a fish in a fish bowl of water, and the fish can talk. Do you think the fish would say, I don't like this water, I feel wet? Would it ever say that? Because it was meant to live in water. Now, pretend the fish wants to get out of this water. Wouldn't that be the greatest indication that this fish is meant to live on dry land? Same thing with all of us. If we all want this world, but not this world, doesn't that give you the greatest indication that we are meant to live in a world where there's always peace, harmony, and joy? Well, my dear friends, this is the world Christ comes to give us, called the kingdom of heaven, where there's always peace, always joy, always tranquility, and the like. So for an atheist, I want them to think, why can't you reconcile with this? And when I talk to atheists, and they say, well, the world, we're just particles of it. When you see destruction, so be it. Don't you feel agony? Yes, I do. But what can I do? What can I say? I say, well, there's someone who came to offer you this type of world. Don't you want to give it a chance and explore and examine it? I give them this analogy. I actually talked to a friend of mine at work. As I mentioned to some of you, I work in the corporate world in America, in the business world. So one of my colleagues in the office next to mine, he came to me and he said, George, I would like to explore more about Christianity, but I don't really feel the need to do so. I gave him the analogy of a burning house. It's an analogy. I told him, I'll give you an analogy or a question. If you own your home and you left your house, you got in the car and you left 5 minutes to go visit someone, your next door neighbor calls you and says, so and so, come back, your house is on fire. What are you going to do? What's the logical thing to do? To make a U-turn and come back to see if the house is on fire or not. Why? I ask you, why? Because that's important. That's your house on fire. What if that same neighbor calls you and says, so and so, come back, I think a bird pooped on the roof of your house. Are you going to come back?
No.
What's the difference? You know what's the difference? What's at stake? The gravity of the problem. A house on fire versus, forgive me, a bird poop on the house. You see the difference? So I told him the exact same thing. What's at stake when you do not follow the one who said, if you don't follow me, you're going to eternal damnation. What's at stake? Your life is at stake. So a wise man would say, I would rather explore the claim of this God called Jesus Christ and see if it is true or not. Because what's at stake? My eternity is at stake. You see? So from a logical perspective, it's worth exploring the validity and authenticity of our Christian faith. Now we'll shift. So now I shared with you Pascal's wager and also the dual nature of this universe. I also want to share with you the incoherence of atheism. Yani incoherence, how I believe that atheism is logically incoherent, consistent. في تناقض وتضارب. Okay, let me explain. Here's what atheists say. They say one thing with one side of their mouth and another thing with the other side of their mouth, and they contradict one another. Here's what they say. All truth comes from science, except the truth that all truth comes from science. Do you see? When I say all truth comes from science, is this a scientific truth? No, it's a philosophical proposition. When I say all truth comes from science, it's not a scientific truth. One more. Nobody knows anything about God except what I just told you about God. When agnostic, you know agnostics? You guys know what agnostics are? You've heard of the term. Actually, it sounds very fashionable. It's like fashion to say, I'm not an atheist. That's old school. I'm an agnostic. It just sounds more chic to say agnostic. You know what agnostics are? What's the definition of an agnostic? Abraham.
The definition? I don't know the Oxford definition.
Explanation.
Explanation? Someone who
One word. Doesn't
say yes or
no.
no.
That's a skeptic.
No.
Someone who.
Without knowledge.
There you go. Without, I don't know. Without knowledge. لا أعرف. بالعربي اسمه مذهب اللا أدرية. لا أدري يعني لا أدري. I don't know. The word gnosis, because the alpha in Greek is what? Opposite. Negation. When you say something asymmetrical, not symmetrical. Something atypical, not typical. Atheist, no theist, no God. So A is opposite of. Gnosis in Greek means what? Gnosis, yani, what does it mean in Greek? To know, to knowledge. That's why in English we have the letter K, kno. We don't pronounce kno. Why? Because we got it from gno. Gno, kno. But we don't pronounce the K. But gnosis means to know. Agnosis, I don't know. In Latin, it's ignoramus, from which we get ignorant. Same word. Agnostic, I don't know. So, for those who are agnostics, I ask them this question. How do you know that you don't know? Because for you to say, I don't know, you must know that you don't know. You see? So you cannot be absolute agnostic, or else it's self-refuting. All right, one more. Consciousness, الوعي, consciousness, is an illusion, except the conscious I need to write books to say that consciousness is an illusion. You see? Because if consciousness is an illusion, then why are you conscious saying that? One more contradiction. Only material things exist, except for the laws of logic. And my immaterial mind used to come to this conclusion that only material things exist. Explain the laws of logic. They are not material things, but you as an atheist believe in them, or else you cannot argue atheism without using logic. But that logic is what? Immaterial. Okay, one more. No one has free will. That's what many atheists say. I've heard them. Except me, when I freely come to atheistic conclusion. I talked to an atheist one time and I said, what are you made up of? He said, biology, physics, and chemistry. I said, great. What am I made up of by components? Biology, physics, and chemistry. I said, wonderful. I have a question. If we are made up of the same raw material, how come we came to different conclusions? You believe in God? I don't believe in God. Because if we have the same raw material, we should both come to the same conclusion. Maybe we're not really made of chemistry, physics, and biology. You see? There is no evil. I will explain this in the next talk. Except when I use evil to deny God. And the last one, oh, there's no last one. Okay, actually, I'll prove it to you. Last point. There is no evil except when I try to use evil to refute God. Do you guys remember Richard Dawkins? I mentioned him many times. The most famous atheist of our time. Listen to what he said in his book, River Out of Eden, The Darwinian View of Life. I think this was page 31 or 32. He said the following. The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect. There is no design, no goal, no evil, and no good. Nothing but blind and pitiless indifference. DNA neither knows nor cares. DNA just is, and we dance to its music. This is what he said in River Out of Eden. Few years later, he wrote another book. It's called The God Delusion. In page 31, he said, the God of the Old Testament is arguably the most evil character of all fiction. And he goes on and on and on and on. But wait a minute. Didn't you 7 years earlier say that there's no evil? How come in one book you say there's no evil, but in another book you say, I don't like the God of the Old Testament because he's very evil? Do you see how, when conveniently they use evil to refute God? Okay? So, let me actually share with you this summary of, I think, Daniel, yes, Abraham?
It's an internal critique, that's why.
It is an internal critique. Absolutely. It is an internal critique.
That's why I can use the concepts of good and
Of course, because we can go on and on and on with that, but that's precisely to sum it up. You're absolutely right. Daniel, you mentioned something earlier. You said atheism, blind faith, or something like that?
Yes.
Okay, and it explains nothing, or something of that sort?
So they think we don't have the answers now, but they have faith that the answers will come eventually.
Exactly.
So their faith is blind.
Exactly. Along the same line, to your point, atheism explains nothing. Why is there something rather than nothing? No reason. What caused everything? Nothing. What accounts for morality? There's no morality to account for. I will talk about this more. Why is there so much evil in the world? There is no evil in this world. This is your thinking. What is wrong with the world? Nothing. How can we fix the world? We can't fix what is not broken. So atheism, my dear friends, is the ultimate non-explanation. When we talk about the problem of evil and suffering, okay? Okay, go ahead, Abraham.
And also I will never be able to explain it because it's built up.
Right, so let me, okay, we can say all kind of comments, I agree with you. We can add to this a lot, but if you have a question, raise your hand. If you have a comment, save it to the end, just for the flow to go. But I will entertain all questions. Comments, put them to the side, because we cannot say everything about everything. Okay. All right, atheism is the ultimate non-explanation. Okay? I had a conversation with an atheist. I'll tell you some stories. Stories will get maybe break the routine of lectures. I asked some atheists to help me describe the God they deny. And I wanted to tell them, what is this God like that you refuse or you deny his existence? Here's what they tell me. I don't like your God because of all the things that he had done in the Old Testament. He's a monster. He actually expects you to bow to him. He's a narcissistic God that loves himself. If you don't follow his commandments, he's going to throw you in hell all your life. And they go on and on and on and on. Let me share with you what some atheists said about the God they denied. We all know who this guy. Who's this guy? Karl Marx. What did he say? He hated the God who drugged the poor with the idea of an afterlife. And he called religion what? Opium of the masses. You're being drugged. Wake up. This is what Karl Marx, why he denied God. Who's this guy? Friedrich Nietzsche, famous philosopher. He hated the weak God who demanded weak morals from his followers. He thought the Christian God is a weak God. Well, if I hit you on one cheek, turn the other cheek, that's weakness. Every time I read this, I couldn't help but think of a beautiful hymn in our church called O Monogenes. And we pray it in the 6th hour of Good Friday. And after you finish the whole hymn, there's a part of Agios. And then what does the second part of Agios say? Holy God, holy what? Mighty, powerful, who showed forth with weakness what is greater than power. أظهر بالضعف ما هو أعظم من القوة. That is the strength of our faith. What seems to be weakness is actually strength. Friedrich Nietzsche got it wrong. To turn the other cheek is actually strength, not weakness, if it is for God. I'm not saying you go around asking people to hit you. I'm saying if it is for God, yes, that is a sign of strength, not weakness. All right, and here is this guy, John Paul Sartre. He hated the God who encroached on human freedom. He's on record saying, I hate the Christian God because he prevents me from exercising my sexual freedom. He wanted to live life immorally, and the Christian God can mean too restrictive. So, what do I tell the atheists who say, the God I reject is a narcissistic, weak, restrictive, monster kind of God? You know what I tell them? Towards this God, I am also an atheist. You know what that means? I don't believe in that God either. My dear friend, you deny another God, not the God I worship. And I tell them, yes sir?
Yeah.
Question?
Yeah. If I ask an atheist what characteristics of God, I'm not committing a logical fallacy or begging of the question to ask him. Because if I ask an atheist who actually denies any form of God, to give characteristics is a logical fact.
Absolutely. Very good. But they fall into that trap, and I expose it later. Because you cannot deny the non-existence of a being. Because if he doesn't exist, who's there to deny? Absolutely.
It's not a real thesis.
Exactly. Well,
It's a trap.
right, and that's why it's a logical fallacy, and they fall into that trap. But I realize, very good you brought that up, Abanu. They realize that it's not that God doesn't exist, it's that they have something against him.
Then they are not real thesis.
They're not, well, they claim to be atheists, but not with the intellectual sense of atheism. You're absolutely right. That would be logical fallacy. Absolutely right. Somebody had,
No, I was.
yes.
How do they come to these conclusions? Like,
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Do they have like philosophical, like A, B, and?
This is what we're going to come next. This is why atheists are atheists. I will get to that at the very end. We'll finish with it. Yes. So, another conversation with an atheist. I say, I have a statement to share with you. This is a conversation starter. I have a statement with three options. I believe that God exists. There are three options. You either agree with me, you don't agree with me, or you don't know. There's no fourth. That's it. If you agree with me, thank you very much, we're good. If you don't agree with me, then you have to tell me why. If you don't know, Would you like to know? You have a question or a comment?
Committing a burden of proof fallacy.
That could be, but okay, later on. All right, so that's why I, okay, let's move on. Famous atheists and their struggle with God's existence. Yes, sir?
The fourth answer would be, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care, that would be apathy, you're right. But if they don't care, then they're not going to really listen to you. They're not going to have a conversation. But if you have a conversation that they're either interested, agree with you, or don't agree and have reasons, or they don't know and would like to know. But if they don't care, they probably will not have a conversation at all. You're right. It's a field called apathyism, which is indifference to God. All right. Let me also share with you something I think is very important. Have you ever had someone who says, I don't need God to be happy? I've had many friends who said, I'm an atheist, I have a wife, I have a house, I have 2 boys, and a dog, and a career, and I have my car in the garage. I am just living life. I don't need God. Keep him to yourself. Thank you very much. Do you have people like that in your life? Yes. I do. What do you say to them? Of course you pray for them and you leave. But I want to tell you, and I will prove it to you, that these words are not from the heart, they are only from the lips. Believe me, when they say I am happy, they're masking their lives with lies. It is not that they are happy. I will prove it to you. I will share with you 4 or 5 people who are very famous atheists. In the moment of truth, listen to what they said. What is that moment of truth? On their deathbed, when they're dying. Listen to these atheists and what they said on their deathbed. It will prove to you and to me that those who say, I don't need God, I'm happy, they're lying to themselves. Listen to, first I will tell you, here's in Arabic as well. Jean-Paul Sartre, very famous atheist, French existentialist atheist. And here are the references. He said, I needed God, I sought religion, I aspired to it. It was the remedy. If it had been refused to me, I would have invented it myself. He longed for God as he was dying. Albert Camus, another very famous French existentialist atheist. He said, for him who is alone, without God, and without a master, the weight of days are dreadful. Erich Fromm, very famous psychologist and also an author and an atheist. In Psychoanalysis and Religion, he said, the need for an object of devotion is deeply rooted in the conditions of human existence at the end of our lives. Let me just finish the other 2 real quick. Sigmund Freud said, it would be very nice if there was a God who created the world and a moral order in the universe and an afterlife. So all of these, my friends, can deny God all they want with the top of their minds, but they cannot avoid him in the bottom of their hearts. You can deny him all you want, but you can't avoid him in the bottom of your hearts. You know why? There's a verse in the book of 3, verse 11, that says he created eternity. Who can finish the verse? جعل الأبدية in our hearts, في قلوبهم. So there is a God-shaped void in everyone's heart. No thing or no one or nothing on this earth can fulfill and satisfy this void except him who created you. That's just, it's a fact that I have experienced, and I'm sure many of you have. Yes, sir?
Everything you show is very nice, but it seems like you are assumed it. Because some atheists can become to a point in which they are literally dead. And even in their deathbed, they will feel no remorse.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm not. So this is not exclusive to every single atheist. Of course. No, some atheists reject. What's his name? Bertrand Russell. You've heard of Bertrand Russell. When they told him on his deathbed, his secretary wrote his biography. And read up on Bertrand Russell. He said he died shaking his fist to the heavens and says, God, I hate you. And then he kept on, and then he died. So not every atheist will do that, but many do, which proves a point. Those who continue to reject God do exist. They don't want to know God. And now that will lead us to this last point, why? But yeah, this is not exclusive to every single atheist. What did let's do some أباكير, patristics, right? What did St. Augustine say? Something very famous. You created for us for yourself, O Lord, and our souls will remain what? Restless until they find their rest in you. You are the only place where I can feel restful. What did St. John Chrysostom say? What did he say? God placed the knowledge of himself in the hearts of humans from the beginning. Can I give you a principle? A very important principle. I want you to take this with you home. Nothing less than yourself can ever satisfy yourself. Nothing less than yourself can ever satisfy yourself. And everything in this world is what? Less than yourself. Only him who created you can satisfy you. Only him who created you can satisfy you. So last point. We have all this evidence. Why do we still not believe? What do they, those who don't believe, why don't they believe? And we'll leave you with this point. But I want to get some questions from you, or some comments from you, not questions, comments. I want you to help me answer these questions. Why are atheists still atheists despite all the evidence? I want you to raise your hand and tell me why. But I want someone who hasn't spoken before. Just forgive me. I want to encourage everyone. I don't hear anybody from this side at all. So why atheists are atheists? Anyone? Peter.
They are weak, maybe they are.
They're weak, okay. They're weak. Farah.
Laziness?
Laziness, okay. Intellectual laziness, spiritual laziness. Yes,
Pride.
sir. Huh?
Pride.
Pride. I like that. Very good. What's your name?
Leopold. Leopold.
Leopold.
Yeah.
Pride. I like that. Thank you, Leopold. Okay, what else? Yes, ma'am.
They don't want any restrictions.
Yes, they don't want any boundaries or restrictions. Remember what? Anyways, yes. Okay. Somebody said, I don't want God's restrictions so I can live out my life. Yes, behind you.
Missing faith? Missing faith.
Missing faith. Yes, they don't have that faith to make them take that leap. Yes, ma'am.
Afraid with their weakness, the parts of themselves or their lack of capabilities to acknowledge that they can't do basic stuff or believe or think that they might do it wrong or need to be better as people.
Yeah, so what does, okay, this is good, but so, no, hold on. I want to hear more. So what does that mean? That they are what?
They're weak at heart, but they're not willing to acknowledge that.
Excellent. That's good. They're weak and they don't want to acknowledge it. Yes, somebody all the way in the back.
Yes, as a former atheist, for me, I just never really thought about things like this.
You never thought about it.
So it's later in life I started thinking about stuff.
Excellent. So you know what that is? Intellectual ignorance. You see? I don't know. You know what? There's a verse in the Bible that says, my people perished for lack of knowledge. So lack of knowledge or wrong knowledge. In Romans, St. Paul was talking about the Pharisees and they had zeal without knowledge. عندهم غيرة ليس حسب المعرفة. They had zeal without knowledge. Very good. What else? Yes.
They have a wrong image about God.
Yes. Remember those people that said, I don't believe in God because of all these things? They have a wrong image about God. In fact, remember yesterday when I said the mom and the dad will tell their kids, Baba Yeshua hayzal minnak and all that? Very good. Yes, sir. Meherteb, right?
The need of personal encounter.
Oh, the need for a personal encounter. Oh, I like that. Hold on. What do you mean? I have to think about it. You want God to come to you and say, here I am?
Like for Muslims.
What would
For
be...
example, Paul.
Go ahead.
Paul. I'm sorry. Paul.
Yeah, so God appeared to Saul, make him Paul. Why can he not appear to me?
Yeah, that kind of mindset.
That kind of mindset. Okay. Okay. Very good. What else? Yes, Casper, and then.
Fear of judgment.
Fear of judgment. Yes. The judge is a Christian. Yes, sir.
I mean, because in your whole presentation, you're basically describing with all these different positions that people take. These are byproducts of sin, ultimately.
Very good.
Because even if you manage to take away atheism, I will find another excuse.
Excellent. Very good. I like the way you think. What's your name again? Daniel. I kind of forget that. So you got two Daniels now. Yes. Leo.
They want God to come to them.
They want God to come to them. Yes. Well, okay. Can I just let's talk this for a second. If I want God to come to me, what does that say about me? I am what?
Arrogant.
Thank you.
And prideful.
Prideful. He comes to me. I'm not going to go to him. Very good. Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful justification to be sinful.
It's a good justification to be sinful. Very good. Excellent. I love your answers. You guys are awesome. Yes, sir. Yes.
Can I say 2 reasons?
5
in
reasons.
my life. So first of all, is social embarrassment. Like I have people at work that they believe in God, but they are embarrassed to say they do. So they just act as atheists.
I think Casper said judgment or something. I think that goes along with judging.
The second reason is personal trauma. Like I never had his wife die at a young age, and he said to me in those exact words, I don't think there is a God, because if he existed, then he hated me to take my wife.
Excellent, excellent. And that is, we have a response to that. We'll save it to the next lecture when we talk about evil and suffering. Remind me to bring that up again. Excellent. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Now we're talking. Bad religious models. Yeah, you have a...
I think it's also very obvious here in Europe. And all the black error that they had, I think it's significant that why should they are atheist.
Excellent. Maybe we can summarize it in one word in Arabic. Athara.
Yes.
Obstacles. Yes. I can tell you that, okay, we don't want to get into that too much, but there was a servant in a church that I shall leave unnamed that yelled at a child very harshly during the liturgy, because this child was a little active. He yelled very harshly. He embarrassed him in front of all his friends. And years passed, and we're struggling to make this child come back to church. But actually, can I tell you a sad story? But it has a happy ending. There was a young youth in our church. This was 30 years ago or so. And she left the church. She never wanted to come to church for many reasons. And then myself and a few other servants would go to visit with her and talk to her and so on and so forth, and continued not losing hope in Christ. And then finally, after months of doing that, she finally decided to come to church on a given Sunday. And then we wanted her to, of course, welcome her and so on and so forth. But then she came to church. But, she's been away from church for a while, so the way she was dressed, her hair, tattoos, piercings, and all of that, it was not the typical image that our family in the church or Egyptian family would look at. So she walked in, and I was the deacon. I was looking, and then she walked in the church. You wouldn't imagine how joyful I was that she finally came to church. And guess what? She walked all the way to meet up with Abuna during the epistles, and she confessed her sins, and Abuna was in joy. I was in joy. We were just in heaven. And then as she walked back, and she stood in the back, communion time comes. And as she walking in, and Abuna did the communion right here, as she was walking into the church, you should see all the judgments she was getting from many uncles and aunts in our church. I'm being very honest. Sorry to change the subject, but I'm just showing you one thing. And then one aunt ran to her and she covered her with a sharp. When you're wearing this and and she was on. And guess what? She came all the way to here. She made a U-turn, left, and just I'll never come to this church again. I was in tears as I was praying. Because that's what we do. Sometimes we judge and judge and judge, and our youth are sick and tired of that. I'm telling you very transparently, by experience, I have seen it over and over and over again. Why did I say this story? I have no idea. I just felt to share it with you. All right. Why else? Huh? Forgive me, I didn't mean to digress. The lesson learned is that when you're at church, you focus. This is why every Orthodox church has the Last Supper. The Eucharist icon. You know why? Because when we enter the church, this is what we focus on, and this is what we focus on: Christ sacrificed for you. We don't look at anybody else around us. All right. Why not believe? Let me tell you why not believe. There are 3 reasons. All the reasons you mentioned are true, but they fall in 3 categories. Reasons of the mind, reasons of the heart, reasons of the will. Mind, heart, will. العقل, القلب, الإرادة. Reasons of the mind, meaning I just cannot understand God. I am a scientist. I need to contain God in my mind. I can't see Him. He doesn't exist. These are reasons of the mind, intellectual reasons. Reasons of the heart, emotional reasons. You mentioned it. I am angry at God. I am mad at God. Any of you watched the movie God Is Not Dead? Did it come to? Okay. Well, anyways, so God caused my wife to die prematurely, and I'm mad at Him. And so emotional reasons why people reject God. The third and the most common, willful reasons of the will. I don't want to believe in God so I can live my life however I want. No restrictions. In Arabic we call it عيش حياتي. Live it up. All right. So let me share with you what this guy said. Mortimer Adler, he's a former atheist. He said, the answer lies in the state of one's will, not in the state of one's mind. It's that I don't want God to exist. And then J. Budd said something. He's a former atheist. Give me just a second, Abraham. A former atheist. He said something so beautiful and so true. I'll share it with you carefully and slowly. Because the presence of God when he was an atheist made me more and more uncomfortable. I began looking for reasons to believe that He didn't exist. Listen very carefully. Not many of us atheists doubt God's existence and then start sinning. Most of us sin and then start doubting God's existence. I think it's spot on. Let me repeat it to you again because I love it so much. Because the presence of God made me more and more uncomfortable, I began looking for reasons to believe that He didn't exist. Not many of us doubt God's existence and then start sinning. Most of us sin first and then start doubting God's existence. And the Lord Jesus Christ said, let me just finish, Abraham, please. Let me finish. John 3:19 says, the Lord Jesus Christ says, and this is the condemnation, that the light has come into the world, and men loved darkness more than the light. Why? Because their deeds were evil. Because their deeds were evil. So this is why most people reject God. It's because they don't want God to exist and encroach upon upon their life. They would much rather live in darkness than come to the light and be exposed by the light. I'll end, I know I have 2 minutes, I'll end with a poem written by a soldier held as a POW. You know what a POW is? A prisoner of war, Asra Harb. A soldier that was captured by the enemy, and he was put as in a cave. And this soldier was an atheist, and he was put in a cave, and they told him, stay in this cave. You can't go anywhere in this desert. Tomorrow morning, we're going to come and kill you. But we want to have you live in misery, knowing that tomorrow you will die. This was a true story. And they found this poem that he dies. He said the following, look, God, I have never spoken to you. But now I want to say, how do you do? You see, God, they told me you didn't exist. And like a fool, I believed all this. Last night, from a shell hole, I saw your sky. I figured right then they had told me a lie. Had I taken the time to see the things you made, I would have known they weren't calling a spade a spade. I wonder, God, if you would shake my hand. Somehow, I feel that you will understand. Funny, I had to come to this hellish place before I had time to see your face. Well, I guess there isn't much more to say, but I'm glad, God, I met you today. I guess the 0 hour will soon be here, but I'm not afraid, since I know you're near. The signal, well, God, I will have to go. I like you lots. This I want you to know. Look now, this will be a horrible fight. Who knows, I may come to your house tonight. Though I wasn't friendly with you before, I wonder, God, if you'd wait at your door. Look, I'm crying, me shedding tears. I wish I had known you these many years. Well, I will have to go now, God. Goodbye. Strange, since I've met you, I'm not afraid to die. A beautiful poem about someone who realized his need for God. And this is the last slide I want to share with you. For those of you who don't read Arabic, what does that say? God exists. That's one of the favorite sayings. There are 3 sayings of this Holy Pope Shenouda, but we know all 3. So we all know what his favorite one was, and God does indeed exist. Glory and honor to his name forever and ever. Amen. All right. Sorry, Habibi Ibrahim, you had a question or a comment?
Yes, it was a question.
Yes.
No, it kind of already had to do with the things we're covering afterwards, which is ultimate atheism will be through our actions and not the free.
Again,
believe with mind, with actions.
Very good. Exactly. So that goes hand in hand with your mind. It's your will as well.
Well, actualizing your will.
I'm sorry?
Actualizing your will.
Very true. Same thing.
You can have a will and not actualize it.
No, it's true. Depending on how you define it. Peter?
I wondered if you could comment on this.
Sure.
So, thank you. We discussed before the comment about do we believe, since we have a non-position, that an immaterial, as you noted.
Yeah, let's save this to the end because I don't want to shift the focus on what we have been saying. I want to see if you have any questions or comments on what we have been saying first, and then we'll shift. We have questions here.
No questions.
There's a question right there.
Can I interrupt the questions for a second? Can we take a break?
Sure, I would love to take a break. But before we take the break, if you don't mind, because you've had your hand up for a while, we'll take your question and then we can take a break. Sorry,
the biblical story of creation, is it metaphoric or it's a real story? And how it contradicts with macroevolution, especially when they say they found remains of this ancestor of modern-day human somewhere in Africa or Armenia.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I was hoping the question would be related to what we said so far, but this was very similar to what Peter was saying. The quick answer, so that now we can take the break. The quick answer, forgive me, we're just going to take the answer and then take a break. The quick answer is that it is not metaphorical, it is true and genuine and real. That's what we believe in. Adam and Eve were not metaphorical beings, or else Christ would also be metaphorical. You know why? Christ is called the what in the New Testament? The second Adam. Marad al-Praxis, the praxis response of the Feast of the Nativity. We talk about Christ being the second Adam. So if the first Adam is metaphorical, the second is metaphorical. That's number one. Number two, those findings, when you talk about Neanderthals and all of that, they are not human species. I give you a book to read that explains this more, because we don't have time to explain it. Read this book called Who is Adam? By Paul Fazal. I can give you the exact, it's called Who Was Adam? You can get it on Amazon. All right, so John, it's yours now.
Thank you. Okay, here's what we're going to do. This has been very intense. I realize people are... It is very exciting. It is incredibly exciting. But I also realize it's a little bit draining with our lives. So we'll take a breather. We'll do some hymns. And then we can go back to questions if you have more questions. And then we can get to lunch. All right? So let's get to some songs and hymns. Hello. Can we all just stay in our places, please? Just one last thing. One last thing. Hello. Are you paying attention? Okay. Two things actually, not just one. The first thing, so a lot of people have been saying they want books. We ran out of the books so far. We only had 4 copies, so we couldn't. Yeah. But if you're interested, please tell any of the fathers, Abu Rafael, Abu Musa, Sayyidina, Basim, just tell them your name, register your interest, gather all the numbers, like we'll see how many copies we need, and then we can buy some and ship them to you, whether it's in Sweden or here, we'll figure this one out. This is the first.
Maybe if you can share a list of the books.
It's only one book. It's only George's. The other books, it's only this book that we're talking about. We can get.
Yeah. I know. I'm just trying to. For example, I put 3 of them in my Amazon cart.
Okay.
So maybe, but this is just the ones that I would get. But maybe just for knowledge, if someone wants to buy something a little more, not necessarily to buy. That would be a much amount of money.
But anyway, yes, so if you have any interest in any of the books that you were mentioned, or particularly George's books, just tell any of the fathers or the son, and we'll get on it. That's the first thing. The second thing, so now we'll do some songs and hymns. When we start the question session, if you have a young child, we realize that they want to eat, and they probably take longer to have lunch, so yeah, so if you want to join them, if you want to join your children for lunch, please leave a little bit earlier, 15 minutes or so earlier, right? So once we start the questions, feel free to go and have lunch with us, okay?
Just I forgot to mention to you that I would love to continue to keep in touch with you. I enjoyed your comments and your questions. I'm here also not just to give you some knowledge, I'm also here to learn from you, and I need this genuinely. So I would like to keep in touch with you. I use social media for the ministry. So I do have Instagram, for example, and I'd be more than happy if you can connect. If you have a question you don't want to ask in public, or you're personal or whatever, message me. And when I have the time, I have plenty of time on airplanes, I can respond back to you. So my name on Instagram is G Basilius. G for my first name, and then B as in boy, Assilios. G Basilius. So keep in touch, and I would love to hear from you. Yes, sir.
Do you think you can make that clarification about
I don't think this is the time. Let's have this in the question section, right? I think it's the
it's okay. We have a
yeah, but now we're going to have songs and then we have a question.
I will leave. So it only takes a few minutes.
I'm lost. What did you?
Yes, so the question was, you said we have a non-position on evolution here.
Oh, back to evolution, okay.
Yes, so the question was, do we believe that we were directly created by God, or if there was an intermittent creation that we came?
Very simple answer. We are directly created by God.
Good.
That's it. That was good. Thank you. Forgive me, I missed it.
Thank you, George. I want to tell you that all these lectures are recorded in our channel. Our channel, YouTube and Facebook, the diocese, Anba, Abakier, ANBA. You can take the link and listen to these lectures many times, because if you're distracted at any part of the lecture, you will repeat it again and find it. And also find all the lectures in our Facebook diocese and in our channel.
So this is a break, but we will have little time to pray. Okay, so we can have a quiet time and time to grasp whatever we are hearing. So, can anyone know what is this picture or what does it refers to? Can you see? Okay, go ahead.
Foundations on the rock, which is God.
Exactly. Okay, so this is a parable that Jesus told the people about a wise man and a foolish man. So the wise man built his house on the rock. So when the floods came, the house stood firm. But the foolish man built it on the sand, and the floods came, and the house was not there. What we are going to do right now is that we are going to pray, so that we honor the people who built their houses on the rock, our life on Jesus Christ. Okay, so maybe we can stand up and read this passage of the Bible.
Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken them to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on the house, and it didn't fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and doesn't do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on the house, and it fell. And great was its fall.
سعيد يا رب ان احنا نبقى دايما معاك وثابتين فيك. سعيدنا ان احنا يبقى عندنا تتكلم يا رب على لساننا دايما تدينا الاجابات الصح لاي حد يسالنا. خلينا يا رب انت ساعدنا في تربيه عيالنا وخلينا دايما ثابتين فيك. ما تسمحش ان احنا نديهم فكره خاطئه عنك او نبعدهم عنك واحنا مش واخدين بالنا. خلينا يا رب نبقى صورة كويسة ليك، صورة ليك يا رب حقيقية. ما نبقاش بنقول كلام بس، خليهم يشوفوك من خلالنا. خليهم يشوفوا الإله الحقيقي اللي بيحبنا، اللي بيقبلنا في كل أوضاعنا. ثبتنا فيك يا رب دايما